Hi guys, it's Silverette again, and today I'm actually going to cover some simple foliage and other things, especially around this area. So first of all, I want to give a basic explanation. Coasters aren't just things to ride. There are also plenty of people who like to look at coasters. You'll have benches around them, all kinds of stuff will happen. They're also part of the scenery. They need to really work with the rest of the scenery and the foliage and stuff like that. So I definitely want to transform this little area into an area where people can walk around the paths and perhaps even have a restaurant somewhere, place benches and other cool things, but you have to be able to actually see the roller coaster. Now, what in real life is very common is just some empty grass stuff around the roller coaster. Now, this is very boring and I don't like doing this. I don't want to go there. I don't want to do what Six Flags does. So I do want to add foliage to this thing, but very minimal and very low to make sure that you can actually see it very well, and it does have some path interaction. So what I kind of want to go for is some grass foliage, some slight, perhaps even flowers, and some simple bushes. Now I'm going to open a couple of foliage sets because I really love just mixing sets and just seeing what's the best thing to do. So I'm going to open Asian Sensation, and now this doesn't seem to make much sense, but this set's got some amazing crepe myrtles that can actually work as really nice bushes. So I think I'm just going to add those on the sides over there. Just going to start with some small clusters of small bushes here and there. And I do want to keep the grass around the roller coaster. I definitely don't want to turn this into a big forest and have too much foliage going on around it. So I think that's already enough of those things. Might actually also try and use a different version of this. Actually, some foliage around the rocks would also be nice. Yeah, that works out pretty well. And just going to place that around that. So that's pretty good. And one important aspect of adding low, simple foliage is actually grass. So that's one important thing that I want to cover in this episode. And I'm actually going to start with the grass. Now this maybe doesn't make sense, but I don't know, there's not really a way to do it. You can add bushes first or you can add grass first, it doesn't really matter as long as you do the ground shrubbery though, before you actually do the large shrubbery, just because of practical reasons. It's easier to do it and it's easier to see what you're doing. So I think I'm just going to add some small lush grass from Peanut Butter Jelly's beach fence set, and this is really one of my favorite sets out there. Also, by the way, remember to keep some open space over here. I kind of forgot that to add a queue in later on. Okay, but anyway, this is one of my favorite sets ever. There aren't any grass sets in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. There have been a couple of beta sets, but so far neither of them has been a success, simply because the fact that it's hard to make good looking realistic grass in this game, and if you do make it, it's gonna lag the game a lot and basically melt your computer, and you don't want that to happen. So none of the sets actually turned out to be a success, but this beach grass set actually does work really nicely. As you can see, you can just add small little clusters of it. I'm actually gonna use the sparse thing now to spread it out in a more natural way. And you can kind of place it around the roller coaster in some small clusters and it'll definitely look very nice. It's meant for beaches and stuff like that, but it turns out that it kind of works for grassy plains and stuff like that as well. So I definitely pretty much use this in all of my coasters. It's really great to just have lying around the coaster track on the ground, so that's really great. And do make sure though to place this in clusters. It'll look more natural. If you just place it evenly spread around the entire thing, it'll sometimes just look too man-made. Nature isn't perfect, so you shouldn't make perfect foliage. It should look kind of random. Okay, so also this is something to add around rocks sometimes. You can just slightly brush that around that. And as you can see, it definitely makes the entire thing look a lot more natural and appealing right away, and it definitely makes the grass look more realistic instantly. But as you can also see, it's still a bit boring. There's not much going on over here, and I do want to keep this area cleared for the path, but otherwise there's not really anything going on. So I also like to add flowers that kind of have that very natural feel. okay, one thing that I need to talk about is flowers. Yes, many people add flowers everywhere. Don't ever do that. Only add flowers next to paths where people can actually maintain them, or people can actually water the flowers, because otherwise they're gonna die. You'll never have roses and stuff like that in the middle of nowhere underneath the coaster. That's pretty much impossible to maintain in real life. What you can add though is wild looking flowers. So some of those simple flowers that some people would call weed, but there's weed, and yeah, I just like to add those things sometimes. It gives some color to the foliage without making it look too unrealistic. Now I think that these things don't actually conform. Yep. Because as you can see, many bushes don't actually conform. And I like my bushes to conform because, as you can see, if you have a slight slope, you can't actually get a good placement for it. It'll either float or disappear into the ground. So I wouldn't recommend that. Now I do know, however, that Gardening 2 has one really cool looking fern, or at least this kind of looks like a fern to me. I'm not that much of an expert. That does conform actually, and I really like just using this here and there. So I'm just gonna scatter this around. Pretty good. And then there is Asian Sensation, which is yet another set by N7. I'm trying to find it though. I think it's in adventure theme. It probably is. Oh wait, it's actually not even in a theme. Never mind. But it wasn't even. Asian Sensation has the crepe myrtles that I just explained, but it also has some other cool stuff like this. These cherry trees are really nice if you have a Asian coaster generally, but I found out that some of these trees actually work with Mediterranean themes as well. Has this amazing tree in it that I like to use sometimes, that I might actually use in this thing as well. And this thing works really well for a small bush-like trees, so I think I'm going to use that over there. Yeah, definitely. It's definitely got that nice texture over here. And as you might be able to tell right now, all of this foliage does look kind of warm. It doesn't really look European or North American. I am going for a Mediterranean / maybe even Florida kind of theme. So might even add some palm trees in the end. Not too many though, but I'll talk about that later on. But for now, this looks pretty cool. Now there's one other set which I think, which is Jungle Jumble. Yet another set by N7. N7 is amazing. Shout out to N7 for his awesome foliage. I don't know if this is quite going to work out, not really. But the thing with this set is, this set has got small ground things that actually conform. Very low poly, so you can use them pretty much as you want. To kind of add some stuff to the ground without actually raising it up too much, and it's easy to place. It definitely looks good if you place them in some nice clusters. So I always like adding those as well, so I'm just gonna place these everywhere. Let's see, that looks pretty good. Sometimes these can also form a border around other foliage, like that. So that's pretty cool. And I think the knotweeds, I don't know if those actually conform, do they? Kind of looks like they do. Yeah, they do actually. Oh, that's a really great thing to add then. I don't know why Fraps is lagging right now. I'm sorry for the lag. I see that it's on 13 FPS. Okay, it's gone. Never mind. That was strange. Okay, so these things are also really nice to add. Like I said before, if you do have angled slopes, always add foliage that is at least conforming. You don't want to have floating things and things that disappear into the ground. So sets like these do have enough conforming bushes and shrubs and grass things to basically make this all look nice. You can add these Japanese things. I'm sorry. And damn, I shouldn't record when I have a cold. Anyway, I kind of actually add the summer ones as well, but that, I don't know if that makes sense. Looks good though, so might as well. Now I see that I am already nearly overusing the foliage, so this is definitely almost enough. I should definitely stop at this point. You don't want to turn the ground shrubbery into one big fest of various kinds of things, so I think that this is pretty much good enough for the moment. So yeah, that's it for the foliage. I think this looks pretty cool. It's just some simple foliage. I'm actually going to do a quick on ride to see what this looks like from within the coaster. Come on, man, do that. Now, one more thing to talk about is some people also like adding pebbles, and there are pebble sets actually. There's actually one pebble set that actually has good pebbles. The only problem with that is it's got shadow problems, and I do want to have my shadows. So you can add pebbles, you can experiment with that, but it's not necessary. So I decided to not do that right now. And as you can see, this foliage is kind of minimalistic. There's not too much of it, but it kind of forms a nice accent around the ride, and it makes sure that you get that nice little grassy feel, and it also kind of gives away that Mediterranean / subtropical vibe. So that's really nice. So that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm sorry for me being terrible and having a cold and all that. But anyway, on to the next episode, where I hope to get some path work done and actually change the texture of that and talk about that some more. So till then.